Welcome. Here we're going to talk about the perimeter of a circle. So I'm going to just quickly define a few things. So if we have a circle and its center, then the diameter is the distance across the circle that goes through the center. So that is the diameter, and then the radius is exactly half of that. So it goes from the center to the outer edge of the circle, and the radius is equal to 1/2 of the diameter. So that will be important as we work through these formulas. So the perimeter of a circle, we don't call it the perimeter, we have a special word for it. So it is the perimeter, but instead we call it the circumference of the circle. This is equal to pi times the diameter, or you could also write this, and you often see it as 2 pi times the radius. Now these two are equivalent because the diameter equals 2 pi. So radius equals diameter equals 2r. Radius equals 1/2 diameter. That means diameter equals 2 times r. So these two are equivalent. It just depends on what information you're given as to what will be easiest for you to go ahead and plug everything in. Now, pi is an irrational number, meaning that it repeats without end. So occasionally companies like Google and other things will do these like stunts where they have a computer crank out like so many million billion digits of pi, and it never has a repeating pattern. So that's why we call it irrational. But it is approximately 3.14159. Now, when you're solving problems, you should never use the approximation. So as a bad teacher to write it down, but that's approximately what it is. It's a little over 3. But you should always use the button on your calculator that says pi, because when you're working with these problems, the rounding error can really get you. If you're rounding, and especially if you use just the first couple digits, like 3.14, you can really give yourself a headache trying to solve problems because the rounding error will absolutely get you. It will cause you grief. So don't do that. Use the button on your scientific calculator that says pi, and that will give you a better answer for your problem sets. So moving on, though, I did want to cover the area. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. Now, some people will write it this way. Instead of r, they'll write it as diameter over 2 squared. I don't love that. It's not my favorite way. I'd rather find the radius first and then use the radius in my area formula. So it just depends on the application, but that's my preference. So let's go ahead and do an example. I have a circle of diameter 10 feet, and I would like to find both the area and the perimeter, or circumference, I apologize. So the circumference will be pi times the diameter. The diameter is 10, so I'll have pi times 10, and when I plug that into my calculator, I get approximately 31.4159, and it just continues on forever. Your problem will tell you what you need to round to so that you know what to do for that. But this should be feet because it is a linear measurement. The 10 here was in feet, so that should be units of feet. And then let's go ahead and find the area. So area again is pi r squared. I don't prefer to do the portion of the formula that has the diameter, so I will say that radius equals 1/2 diameter, which in this instance is 5 feet. So I'll have pi times 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. So I have pi times 25. Oh, I apologize. I should have my feet in here. 25 feet squared. Now pi is a unitless number. It does not have units, so it doesn't contribute anything. The units are all coming from this feet. So it's 5 feet, and then when I square it, it becomes 25 feet squared. And when I plug this into my calculator, I get approximately 78.54 feet square feet. So that's how you solve the basic circumference and area problems. Sometimes problems can get involved. Sometimes they'll ask you for half of a circle or a quarter of a circle, etc. If you have half of a circle, then that's going to be exactly half the circumference, exactly half the area. If you have a quarter, the same, you divide by 4, either the circumference or area. So problems can get a little bit more tricky than that, but that is the basics of how to find the area and the circumference of a circle. Thank you so much for watching.